Hello, vinyl community and other watchers. This is Whack-A-Mole number 57. It's been like a month or so since I've done a Whack-A-Mole, and the last one was live in Amoeba Records in San Francisco. Now, let's start with a little preface here. A lot of us are staying home. The World Health Organization just announced today that this coronavirus is a pandemic, and it is very serious. I had a little back and forth on another channel comments, not to be mentioned. I think it's been pulled already, the video, where a viewer was talking how this is all fake news and everything. Well, it's not. I live in Seattle here, Washington, where already I think, I mean, there have been a number of deaths. Now, if this is not affecting you in your area, all the power to you, and that's really wonderful. But even if it's not affecting you personally and through families and business associates, it's probably affecting your work, or it's affecting a lot of people's work. I'm not traveling. I've had business things sort of postponed and put on the back burner, and I'm kind of hankering into the most part. I am going out and supporting my local businesses, so I'm not panicked about it. So just we need to kind of, it's just about being smarts, and it's about I wish we had the strength of leadership from the top down, just to calm our nerves and everything. Not going to get into that any more than saying that. Listen to the medical professionals and the health professionals, and be safe out there. Wash your hands a lot, especially when you're handling all these records. Anyway, Whack-A-Mole, if you don't remember, if it's been too long, a normal Whack-A-Mole, when I do it myself like this, I pick 5 random records and I showcase them, talk about them a little bit. And also, our governor, the great Governor Jay Inslee, who was a presidential candidate for a while, who was very high on the debate about climate change and things, just announced basically last night or this morning that just for the time being, it's a temporary ban on groups of people more than 250 in one place. Now, it's not putting the pressure on people in terms of, putting the thumb down and telling people what they can and cannot do. This is a health issue. So we're taking it seriously. That's how you hopefully level out the pandemic and then eventually bring it down. Hopefully there'll be no cases eventually, but it's going to go up before it goes down. So I am refraining from doing any Whack-A-Moles with more than 250 guests in any one Whack-A-Mole. So right now, here we go. 5 random picks from my collection. One. 2. 3. 4. 5. Hey, we can still have to have fun, right? We can stay at home and have fun. Now, I have been doing a lot of videos because I'm stockpiling videos. Instead of stockpiling toilet paper, I decided just to really this week and into next week do as many videos as I can. So whatever happens, you can sit home and watch Mazzy's videos and all the other videos on the VC. I have another one in mind that'll be dropping very soon too. Fool to Care, Boz Scaggs. Later Boz Scaggs album. This one came out in 2015. There's one song on here that I really like called Last Tango on 16th Street, which he did not write, which is a beautiful song. And it's kind of a cool song from my point of view, because it's about 16th Street in the Mission part of San Francisco, where there's a lot. It's a heavy Latin neighborhood, a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants, cantinas, hipster spots as well, some music venues, and it's really a boiling point. It's right where one of the grittiest, I hate to say grittiest, but BART stations, Bay Area Rapid Transit, basically the underground subway system stops there. So it's really a melting pot, a neighborhood, good, bad, and ugly, but a wonderful ethnic mix of people and food and things. But I love that song, The Last Tango on 16th Street. I've been a fan of Boz Scaggs for years. You know him, most people know him from the Silk Degrees album, which was a huge monster seller. His biggest seller, I don't even think it's his best album. It's very disco dance based with Lido and Lido Shuffle and the like. I like Slow Dancer, and I like his early stuff. The first album that Duane Allman is on, the first album that Jan Wenner from Rolling Stone actually kind of more or less produced. I don't know how sound-wise he produced it, but it's got that Muscle Shoals sound with Loan Me a Dime on it. Big fan, Boz Scaggs, met him a few times in the 70s, and actually a couple times about 10, 12 years ago, because there are a restaurant I used to go to, again in the Mission, called Delfina, my favorite San Francisco restaurant. I'd sit at the bar at the top and eat there occasionally, sitting next to him and chatting. It used to be one of his favorite places. So Boz Scaggs, Fool to Care, 429 Records. This might be his own label, produced by Steve Jordan, but a good record. He's gotten more sort of a bluesy, blue-eyed soul again, more on the jazzy blues side lately, but nice stuff still. Okay, this is a reissue I got in the 70s, this is a UK edition, 1976 or 8. I think it's 1976. It's a comp to 1956 Sessions, Volume 1. I used to pick a lot of these up when I managed the Record Factory store. And this is some 56 sessions like I Got a Sweetie, Heartbreak Hotel, Blue Suede Shoes, Lottie, Miss Claudie, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Hound Dog, Don't Be Cruel. Nice pressing, an RCA reissue. Not an essential record, but any rock and roll, this period of rock and roll is great to have. But I used to pick these up occasionally. I have that whole I did a whole video on the Sun session records that I have. Oh, by the way, in the background, I'm about to do a video on George Harrison's Dark Horse records, and this is one of the Dark Horse George Harrison collaborations, Ravi Shankar in Indian music. And this actually is a really kind of a interesting album. Brian Jones is kind of like, I would say Brian Jones was the Beatle of the Rolling Stones, if that makes any sense. If you know historically, he almost in a way, for some people, didn't fit in. I'm a big fan of the Brian Jones years of the Rolling Stone. He quit the Stones, after Beggar's Banquet, and then tragically died in the swimming pool soon after that. But he was really into the whole Beatle thing and world music, and they didn't really call it world music, but a lot of music like George Harrison would be Indian music. And this is an album that it says Brian Jones presents the Pipes of Pan at Jojuka. And I would get into world music, introduced again by George Harrison with sitar playing. George Harrison's Radha Krishna Temple produced records on Apple. George Harrison's sort of mix and melting with Indian music and the like. This record, let's see, this was on Rolling Stones Records. That's when Rolling Stone got their own reprint on Atlantic Records, the whole tongue logo and everything. And this is the insert. And this is a mix of Moroccan music, and it's really interesting. I love this kind of stuff. And when this came out I'm thinking 72, 71, 72. I don't know what the exact date is. It really kind of introduced a broader audience. I love where people like George Harrison and Brian Jones really wanted to introduce their audience to follow. And that's why I've always brought up the fact that Bill Graham at the Fillmore West, at Winterland, would mix types of music. You know, Bill Graham had shows with Miles Davis and rock bands and a mix of soul, Aretha Franklin, but they also jazz artists, big band jazz artists with rock and roll and psychedelic bands. So it was a really kind of nice mix of things. So again, Jajuka Moroccan music, introduced and brought to you by Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones. Again, I'm not going to read the whole thing here. Too much to read. Niccolo, Love Starvation. This is an EP that came out last year, Love Starvation. And this is Niccolo backed by and with Los Straitjackets. I actually saw them in Seattle last fall, or actually in December, or maybe December or January. Maybe it was that soon. Maybe it was this year. Los Straitjackets opened up for X, the LA punk band. I saw them at the Crocodile, which is a small club in Seattle. And they wear these Mexican wrestling masks. The Los Straitjackets does a lot of guitar, bass, rock and roll, very surf guitar type of stuff with some Latin Mexican flourishes. Like familiar? There we go. It's a very famous take on a very famous photograph. Yep. Los Straitjackets are backing up Niccolo and vocals guitar. Anything Niccolo, I pick up because I'm a big fan of Niccolo. And I talked to him about him a lot in the Power Pop video that I did a couple weeks ago. Yep Rot Records. So this fun record, nice record. And lastly, I showcased this at one point. I'm a fan, you know, whatever you can say. Not hip enough for you, huh? St. Vincent, Mass Education, St. Vincent. Really, she's a great guitar player. You should go now. You're on YouTube now. After this, click over and search for St. Vincent. Dig a pony. I dig a pony. Her version of that, just her and her guitar alone, the Beatles song from Let It Be. Her guitar playing is so great. She's not really controversial, but she's a great artist. She's controversial only to the fact that she produced the last album by Slater-Kinney. That some people either loved it or hated it, thought it was a little too slick produced and stuff. But she's a great artist, great guitar player, and has done some great stuff. There's actually another album that I love that she did about 5 years ago, a collaboration. I'm going to sneeze. Sneeze into your armpit and elbows and, you know, there. Don't use your hands. Then wash your hands after. I will wash my hands, I promise, before I post this video. But the David Byrne album she did, collaborated on, is a really great thing. Oh, I just got the word Big Ears Festival was canceled. You know, South by Southwest was canceled. Beatle Fest was canceled. A lot of things up in here in Seattle were canceled. You know, just really take care of yourself, friends. And this is serious, but hang in there. Don't get you paranoid. Read the facts. Don't read about the rumors. You know, take care of your family and friends. You know, don't freak out. You can go in supermarkets and stuff, but just you know, common knowledge. Don't read the bullshit that is out there on this pandemic right now. And coronavirus doesn't come from Mexico, and any friggin' wall is not going to protect or change things here. This is happening around the world. My heart goes out to you folks also in Italy, and I have a couple people watch from Italy and keep commenting. Mazzy loves you too, and just kind of hang in there. You know, we can enjoy ourselves, we can laugh, we can have fun, we can watch these videos and go back and forth on it, but just you know, read about the truth, take care of yourself, eat healthy, and play more music. So Mazzy loves you, and take care, vinyl community, and the rest of the world. This is sort of the end feature part, so this is like the end groove extra track thing. Since this is a pandemic edition of Whack-A-Mole, I'd be remiss if I didn't show something, since I didn't randomly pull these. Obviously I show that cover for obvious reasons, Jefferson Airplane, Crown of Creation. I know we're not talking about nuclear annihilation, but I picked 5 songs. There are a ton of songs about the end of the world, and or zombie apocalypses and things. And of course, we all have to have a sense of humor, as I said in the main part of the real video. So I'm picking 5 songs here that I think are a little appropriate. To each his own, and there's so many others. There's a U2 song, Until the End of the World, from the motion picture I didn't include, but the most obvious one right away is The End of the World. It's the end of the world, and we know it, and I don't, and I feel fine, which is a Beatles song, Beatle connection. R.E.M. from Document. The great Skeeter Davis song, covered by Herman's Hermits, which was the B-side of Henry VIII I Am. That's where I first heard it, then I got their greatest hits when I was a kid. Herman's Hermits, and the song is called The End of the World. Don't they know it's the end of the world when I don't love you anymore, something like that, or you don't love me anymore. 5 years, 5 years. The Earth has 5 years, so we're going to Mars and Martians, and a lot of people don't realize that's not an obvious choice for a dystopian song of doomsday. Even Mazzy has to be a little uplifted when we talk about this, because as humans, we're gonna get through this stuff. We'll be fine, but we just gotta hang in there and be positive, and let's work together. The world needs to work together now, not be isolated. That's the bullshit. We need to work on this situation together. Every Day Like Sunday, another one that a lot of people don't realize it's based on the novel On the Beach, which was an amazing movie in the early 60s about nuclear holocaust and the submarine that comes up. In the film version, they come up and you see San Francisco. They're in the San Francisco Bay. On the Beach, check that movie out. It's an eerie movie, but it's an amazing book too. I read it, I think I read it when I was in college probably. This is a Best of Morrissey, but it's on his first solo album. I love that song, Every Day is Like Sunday. And lastly, Waiting for the End of the World, the first Elvis Costello album, UK edition. The Maslowian flip even happens in a pandemic edition of Whack-A-Mole. Thanks again. Take care. Love your neighbors, love your friends, as Elliot Cruz says, and he's totally right here. Just, be strong and believe in science. Science is what's going to get us out of this situation, get us through the situation like it has in the past. Science and leadership, and, respect scientists. Bye. Mazzy loves you.